What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to GmiasWorld, and right now we're going to be talking Madden 24 and the fact that EA Sports is rumored to be they're in the process of trying to figure out, are KOs going to be a thing, or are they going to remove it from the game? All right, it's alleged that the KOs are going to be removed from the game simply for the fact that that's one of the most highly rage-infested abilities in the game. All right, so if you're watching this video right now, you've more than likely been affected by a KO in a negative way. I have, but it also has helped us. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, right? A lot of the KOs that tell you what they do, they don't usually work all the time. For instance, if you have something like, let's just say for instance, you run medium route KO and something in between 11 and 20 yards, you're supposed to get that improved knockout, but it's not 100%. But people want it to be 100% because if you read it, it's just improved knockouts, right? But if it doesn't happen all the time, people rage, especially the pros. Yo, bro, I got medium KO, it's supposed to be out. But we do know, right? We all know that this one is the most hated ability in the game, the deep out zone KO. Because no matter how wide open your player is, he is not coming down with the ball. Everybody watching this video right now has had a wide open receiver by like 19 steps, and the KO just taps him and the ball flies out of his hand like crazy, like he's a little child, right? So this is going to be the option. I want to talk to you guys about this so you guys understand that this is not the first time that EA Sports has used us as lab rats, right? So for those of you guys that have been playing the game for a while, how many of you guys remember when universal coverage was an actual ability? Show of hands. How many of you guys remember when that was a thing? Right? This is what happened, okay? They turned it into an X Factor because this was way too OP. Alright? So they made it so you couldn't have it all the time. But, you know, they turned this into trash. Like the game, this ability itself, when I see that you have universal coverage, I target that player. And you guys know what I'm saying. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna moss you anyway. If you ever come out with universal coverage on your players, I'm mossing you. Because they didn't only turn it into an X Factor, they completely nullified the way that it works. Okay, so that in itself is really awful. Okay, it's rumored that they're going to do the same exact thing with the KOs, that they're going to make them X Factors so you have to actually earn it in game, which means that earlier on in the year, they may do something like the AKA promo again, where people can actually start with it as an X Factor. Because EA Sports has to entice people to want to use the abilities. When it was first introduced in 20 with Patrick Mahomes with Bazooka, a lot of us just got Bazooka just to get it because of the additional 15 yards or whatever. And then we realized that after a certain point, it just didn't work. But there has to be some kind of selling point. And I do believe that they're going to focus in more on not having every pass knocked out just because a person is tapped. And I believe that most of the community agrees that it's a very unrealistic ability because most of the time your player has already taken 2 steps and the ball just drops out of his hands. All right? Now, if you guys don't believe what I'm talking about, check out Chad Johnson, the new limited that was just released. I'm going to show you guys what's going on with him. He actually has all of the built-in abilities into one because EA is testing out the way it's going to work. So this is what I'm going to go ahead and show you. Chad Johnson, I played against him yesterday, and I played a lot of dudes that's been running around with him and just using the 2 AP to kind of see how it works because it's all KOs into one. So with this player right here, right, Chad Johnson, if you were to try him out, he's a limited. He gets an ability that's an actual ability, not an X Factor, that has all of the KOs in one. But it doesn't really help you as much because they took away the ability for us to have more than 6 ability points on defense. So if you were to make him OP, you would need the Acrobat in addition to the regular ability. The reason that I'm pointing that out to you guys is this. They may try to separate the way they did Streak Specialist. Show of hands. How many of you guys played Madden 20 and know how OP Streak Specialist was? What happened was, after Streak Specialist turned out to be one of the most complaint-filled abilities, EA Sports then changed it to deep out, deep in, short out, mid in. They split it up. But realistically, Streak Specialist was all of those things in one. EA Sports is now, again, testing out certain things that they can then use in 24 that will give you more of an edge, but it's going to cost more. But with the fact of that, with the fact of the matter being that EA Sports is planning to not even have abilities the way that they are right now, allegedly in Madden 24, it doesn't really make any sense. So what I think is going to actually happen is they're going to allow you to have certain abilities, but they're going to be more or less built in, right? And everybody won't be eligible to get an ability. So that's also going to be a major problem. When you look at KOs, it's similar to the fact that like they nerfed double me so much that even though Calvin Johnson, if you have this card and you start with Calvin Johnson with his double me, the double me Calvin, it doesn't really work like it worked when it first came out. Double me used to be one of the most OP abilities next to Moss. And you notice what they did with Moss, they took it right up out the game. Because everybody was complaining, the pros, the regular people that play the game, everybody was complaining about it because it was just outrageous. No matter what happened, no matter what coverage you were in, you were getting Moss when Moss was there. So I do believe that the purpose of what they're doing is to limit the percentage in which it happens. Like no ability should be 100% is what I'm getting from what they're doing. Because if that were the case, it would kind of make it so that the game itself would be hard to kind of strategize around. Because if KOs are going to work 100% of the time, it doesn't really matter what you have on offense. You see what I'm saying? It's sort of like this, right? I have deep out KO on Dion and I have it on Keith Taylor, right? So what should be the counter to this? Deep out. So it should be a percentage in which one of them, it shouldn't be an edge. Like one of them should win based on the position or something like that. But we all know that deep KO is going to knock the ball out regardless. I don't care if you have double me activated. I don't care if you have deep out, deep in. I'm at your mom's house, like we getting it in. It don't really matter. It's not going to work with this year where there's like a percentage of one of them winning. You see what I'm saying? What's going to happen is this deep out zone KO is always going to knock the ball out. So those are just some of the things that we have to actually look at. If they don't make it 100% one way or the other, the game could be a lot more enjoyable. It's not the fact that the KOs is just a horrific ability. It's the fact that it's no counter to it. That's why most people are very upset. Before you guys say, yo, G, did you try deep out, mid out, and short out? Yes, because that would equal streak specialist. I've tried that. The KO, the one KO still knocks all of that out. So if EA Sports actually removes it, I think it would be a better game overall for everybody, but I still believe that there have to be percentages in which abilities work if they are going to be in the game so that it can be kind of balanced. Because without that, it doesn't really matter. And we went through a whole year where none of these abilities could deal with the fact of, if there was a KO out there, you're getting knocked out in deep zone. Which is why a majority of the people that run dollar or whatever, man coverages are good, but if you run the zone, that deep KO is knocking it out more than the other abilities, the man-to-man, because it's like give or take with man-to-man, but the zone ones are pretty much OP. So we'll see how it happens. They may just do the same thing that they did with universal coverage and turn it into an X factor, but let me know how you feel about KOs overall, and do you just want them gone out of the game? I'm going to see you guys and girls next time. You enjoy your day. One love, y'all.